Alright, so I welcome you back to lecture 25 on the course for in the course for heat transfer for chemical engineers targeted towards gate preparation. In the last class, we saw how to solve a full-fledged problem or a thermal design problem for a single effect evaporator, and our emphasis was on 2 points. First was understanding the mass balances involved, and second one was understanding the energy balances involved. So we did material balance and energy balance, and uh, in the energy balance we specifically emphasized more on choosing the reference state, how to choose a reference state and perform the energy balance. And we also we now you can I hope you can appreciate the fact that the final output of the energy balance is irrespective of the reference state. I mean, the balances would be same, the answer won't change, and you should choose a reference state in such a way that the things are simplified to the most extent, and try to make a reference state in a fashion that you can utilize the data that has been given to you in the question. All right, like in the last in this particular question, uh, CP of the solution was given, so it is good to start to take feed as the reference state instead of choosing pure water and pure solid as the reference state. uh, all right, now one slight variation of this particular case that we didn't consider is how to incorporate boiling point elevation. All right, so to understand this, let me start with the assumptions that are being used in this particular uh, case study, right? So the first assumption that we are using, okay, let me, in this particular problem, is that whenever the feed is fed, okay, let me just bring out, yeah, so basic assumptions, I will write it over here itself. So assumptions, and I will write today's date as well, 26/7, right? So the assumptions that we are taking here are, first, it's like a CSTR thing, okay? जैसे ही feed अंदर आती है, okay, wait, there is the feed, yeah, here's the feed. जैसे ही इस डायग्राम में feed आती है, it is getting concentrated to whatever is the final concentration, and it is uniform every throughout. All right, so यहाँ का जो अंदर का solution है, it is at that concentrated value, and वो and वही यहाँ से बाहर भी आ रहा है. ओके, सो यूनिफॉर्म मिक्सिंग. ऑल राइट, ये आपका CSTR में भी होता है, अब इसीलिए उसको स्टिर टैंक रिएक्टर या फिर कांस्टेंट. ऑल राइट, सेकेंड इज steam is not changing the temperature, it is not getting super cooled. All right, it is just giving the latent heat. All right, lambda exchanged by steam, rather I should write only the lambda is exchanged by the steam. All right, the third assumption that we take is the vapor that are exiting are not superheated, they are just saturated ones. All right, so saturated vapors leave. Okay, so we'll be using this particular things now. Why is it it is, and yeah, one more thing, yeah, that I forgot, but it's essentially uh, delta H of mixing or delta H solution is 0. Okay, we are considering delta H solution or the enthalpy change associated because of solution or concentration change to be 0. In most of the cases it is not 0, but here we have assumed it to be 0. If it is not 0 in one particular problem of gate, it has been given, then you should appropriately add it. All right, so some enthalpies are exothermic, some are endothermic, meaning that as the concentration increases the solution gets cooled. Maybe a good example is KCl salt or some chloride salts. As the concentration is increasing, the solution gets cooler. You can try doing it at your home. And the other example of exothermic enthalpy is acid. So you take a beaker of water and try adding H2SO4 drop by drop. The solution will get heated as the concentration of H2SO4 is increasing, meaning that it's an exothermic thing. Alright. So now the question is how to incorporate BP or the boiling point elevation. Now you have two concentrations. First is the 5% concentration of the in this particular question I guess it was 5% or 10%. Where is it? Yeah, it was 10%. So now the question is whether to take boiling point of 10%, 40% or difference between them. So many questions will come into mind. But now that you know the assumptions, you can straight away appreciate the fact that we use the BP for the final, the BP corresponding to the final concentration, because in the tank we have already assumed that as soon as the feed has entered, the water is getting evaporated, and in the tank what is left is the solution at the desired concentration, the product concentration, right? So we don't need to consider the boiling point of in this case the 10% solid solution, rather we should consider the 40% thing. All right, so what do we do to solve it? So basically you take the boiling point of water at the pressure at which the solution is getting evaporated. In our case it was 72 degrees Celsius, right? So that point is say somewhere here, 72 degrees Celsius. Alright, from here try to go to the line of 40% concentration, maybe somewhere here. Alright, so this is the 40% concentration line, and then read the corresponding value of y, the temperature on the y-axis. So for this particular case it comes out to be 75 degrees Celsius, assuming it to be NaCl. Alright, and just don't go with the values that are written over here, it's some different story. So the temperature of the solution, so the value on the y-axis is the boiling point of solution. Alright, okay, and why we are plotting it in such a fashion is because we are going to change the pressure. So the change in pressure is accommodated over here by the boiling point of water as it changes with the pressure, and the concentrations are on this particular different lines, and then we are getting the corresponding concentration of the we are getting the corresponding boiling point for the solution at given temperature and pressure conditions. Alright, so for this case it's coming out to be somewhere around 75. What you need to do is you need to change the temperatures to 75 over here. Alright, 75 wherever it was 72 in the calculation, you need to replace it by 75. Alright, what will it do? So this will increase the amount of steam, okay, because you can easily see. Now let me write it with green color over here. Now instead of heating it to 75, now the solution has to be heated till 75 degrees Celsius, and then the steam has to be generated at 75 degrees Celsius and the product over here. So the amount of steam required to heat is now going to increase. Alright, so this is the thing, and this is how you need to incorporate the boiling point elevation. I hope everything is clear till now. A quick raise of hands if everything is clear regarding how to incorporate boiling points and the calculations for a single effect evaporator. जिस किसी को भी कोई भी डाउट रहा है इसमें, प्लीज यू कैन अनम्यूट एंड आस्क मी योर क्वेरी. शूट इट आउट गाइस, डोंट फियर, just say it. Yes, Chetan, Devang, any queries from your side? And Praneeth. Okay, I am assuming that there are yes, Sai.
The exit water temperature will be 72 or 75, sir?
75. Because now the solution will boil at 75, right? Because the boiling point has elevated. So exit will be 75. Yes, any more queries from anyone? Feel free guys, feel free please. I mean, अभी नहीं पूछोगे तो फिर बाद में मौका नहीं मिलेगा पूछने का. All right. Now, with this understanding, we move to the next topic, which is the multiple effective operators. All right. First, I will try to explain what is a multiple effective operators, and then together we will try to understand what are the advantages of using a multiple effective operator, and then we'll try to evaluate its disadvantages. All right. So be careful while I'm discussing. You also have to identify the disadvantages of using a multiple effective operator. I will be putting out hints every now and then in the discussion. All right. Okay. So by now we have understood that evaporator is essentially a heat exchanger. Okay, and in this heat exchanger liquid is boiled to give a vapor. So what I can say is, in an evaporator the liquid is boiled and I am getting vapors and the concentrated product, or I can say the solute slash solid, whatever you want to term it as. All right, but now what I'm trying to focus is on this particular part. All right, so these vapors are nothing but low pressure steam. Okay, it's a low pressure steam according to me. And now my mind strikes the engineer inside me is now thinking, oh, in this evaporator, apart from getting the product, this particular stream can now also be used somewhere, because this is an energy stream. इसमें से मुझे low pressure steam मिल रहा है. How can I use this? All right, so I can possibly make use of this particular steam, ठीक है, to treat it as a steam for a evaporator which is operating at a lower pressure. Why? Because let's say this steam is at exiting at 75 or 72 degrees Celsius in the previous problem, and the evaporator was operating at 33 kPa, right? 33 kPa. Now I have another evaporator which is now running at a pressure lesser than it, so the boiling point will further decrease, and now I can easily use the vapors coming out from this particular first evaporator as the steam for second. All right. And that means what I am doing is I am adding another effect to it. So let me just quickly have the diagram of our evaporator, copy it, and we'll be using this particular diagram to understand what things are. All right. So we have feed, we have, so this is first evaporator. I am now getting concentrated product out of it. So concentrated product, what I am trying to now do is I am now trying to use this vapor as the steam for effect 2. So I will have another evaporator over here, and in this particular evaporator I will now use this concentrated product as the feed to the second evaporator, and the steam that is coming out from this evaporator, okay, this evaporator as the steam for the second evaporator. And what I will get is, say this is product P1, I can get here product P2, something like that. Alright, so the idea is now I am trying to use the steam generated here to heat it further, and I am trying to reduce the pressure as well. So okay, now this is confusing, so let us change the nomenclature to avoid confusion. Alright, let me call this as L1 liquid 1, let me call this as WL2, W is weight, L1 L2. Alright, condensate as WC1, let me call this as WC2, condensate 2. Alright, these are vapors, so let me call this as V1 V2, and let me call this as W steam, and it is entering 1, so essentially this is WS1. Alright, so and now this particular column is operating at pressure P1, this is operating at pressure P2, and all I know is P1 is greater than P2. Okay, so with this I can now further increase the concentration of the product, alright, without adding more steam. So the steam is only added till here, maybe in this particular case from 10% to 40% was getting concentrated, but now using this 40% steam as 40% concentrated product as feed, and the steam that was generated and passing it into another evaporator, I can maybe get a product of 50% concentration with the same amount of steam. So guys, the question 1 for you all, so what am I trying to increase? What is getting increased? We saw two important terminologies, steam economy and capacity. So what are we increasing with this? Are we increasing the steam economy or are we increasing the capacity? Yes guys, or anyone?
Steam economy.
Yeah,
Steam economy.
exactly. So we are trying to increase the steam economy. With increase in effects. Alright, so tomorrow maybe now I can make this exercise repeat again and again. Alright, now I had two effects, meaning that now I had two evaporators. I can increase it to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and so on so forth till infinity. Theoretically what I need to do is I just need to reduce the pressure of each subsequent effect. So first effect was P1, second was P2, I can add a P3, then I can add P4 and so on so forth. I can go up to P infinity, right? So theoretically I can have infinite effects in the evaporator, but in practice it's not possible. Maximum number is 7, which we had discussed in the first lecture on the topic. Alright, so the idea here is we can now try to increase the steam economy with increasing the effects, and this is the major advantage of using a steam effect evaporator. So let me highlight this thing for you all. So this particular thing is the advantage of going for a multiple effect evaporator. This is increasing the steam economy. So let's say you have a very dilute solution and you need to increase its concentration, say 5% से 40% तक बढ़ाना है, something like that. It's a huge what I can say concentration difference. So maybe you can always go for multiple effects, क्योंकि उसमें आपका steam cost effectively बहुत ज़्यादा कम हो जाएगा. All right. Okay. Now let us discuss about the feeding mechanisms. So the next topic is feeding mechanisms. Now there are two ways in which I can use these this multiple effect evaporator. Okay, for the sake of simplicity and C2 C2 okay, so keep this, yeah, we'll be needing this, and let me just put this whole thing on the slide. तो कोई डिस्टर्बेंस ही नहीं होगा, right? feeding mechanisms. Now what do I mean by feeding mechanism? We'll come to it in a moment. Okay, so this particular mechanism that we had discussed over here, all right, ये mechanism, this is called as feed forward mechanism. Okay, इसको कहते हैं feed forward mechanism, meaning that the feed and the steam are going in the same direction. Okay, जिसमें प्रेशर्स तो कम होते ही जा रहे हैं एंड फीड एंड स्टीम जिस डायरेक्शन में आ रही है उन दोनों की डायरेक्शन सेम है. So it's called as the feed forward mechanism. Okay, so this is feed forward mechanism. Okay, ये कब यूज होगा, ये इसके ऊपर हम 1 मिनट में आ रहे हैं. Let me first discuss feed backward and all the things will be very much clear then. All right, in the feed backward, what I do is I now make the fresh feed. Okay, मैं fresh feed को इधर से feed करता हूँ. Alright, मैं second effect में fresh feed डालता हूँ. Okay, so the fresh feed is fed to the second evaporator and the concentrate from the second evaporator is now fed to the first evaporator. Okay, and from here we take out the product. So this is WL2, sorry, WL1. This was WL2, which is instead of going out is now going to be fed to the first one. And यहाँ की जो steam है वो इधर से उधर जा रही है. Okay, fresh steam is always fed to the first evaporator. ठीक है, वहाँ से कंडेंसेट निकल रहा है वो वैसे ही है. यहाँ की evaporation से जो भी steam आ रही है वो steam इधर जा रही है एंड इधर से उसका कंडेंसेट निकल रहा है. बट फीड की डायरेक्शन ऐसे है, आई मीन फ्रॉम द लास्ट इफेक्ट टूवर्ड्स द फर्स्ट इफेक्ट, एंड स्टीम की जो डायरेक्शन है वो है फर्स्ट इफेक्ट से लेकर लास्ट इफेक्ट तक. सो फर्स्ट इफेक्ट का जो वेपर है वो सेकेंड इफेक्ट का स्टीम हो जाएगा, सेकेंड इफेक्ट का जो वेपर है वो थर्ड इफेक्ट का स्टीम हो जाएगा, थर्ड का फोर्थ होगा, समथिंग लाइक दैट. सो दे आर इन द अपोजिट डायरेक्शन, हेंस इट इज कॉल्ड एज फीड बैकवर्ड मैकेनिज्म. अब ये कहाँ पे यूजफुल होगा, और तो इसका बेस्ट एग्जांपल है समवेयर इन द केसेस जहाँ पे बॉइलिंग पॉइंट एलिवेशन बहुत ज़्यादा है. ओके, तो हम या फिर तो हम वहाँ पे क्या कर सकते हैं, यहाँ पे ज़्यादा हीट लगेगी उनको ब्रेकआउट करने में या कॉन्सेंट्रेट करने में आखिरी केस में, क्योंकि 40 से 60 जा रहे हैं उधर. ओके, वो कर्व जो हमने देखा था 40-60, तो यहाँ से इधर जाना है तो और ज़्यादा टेम्परेचर होगा. तो वो ज़्यादा टेम्परेचर कहाँ पे ला सकते हैं, हम इधर ही ला सकते हैं, इधर तो नहीं ला पाएंगे, राइट. तो एक तो वो वाला फंडा, एंड प्रेशर डिपेंडेंस भी इतना ज़्यादा स्ट्रांग नहीं है. प्रेशर डिपेंडेंस से ज़्यादा स्ट्रांग है कॉन्सेंट्रेशन डिपेंडेंस. लाइक देखो, लेट मी ड्रॉ दैट डायग्राम. देयर आर टू थिंग्स कमिंग अप, ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड इट. ध्यान से सुनो मेरी बात एंड देन आस्क क्वेश्चंस, ठीक है, क्योंकि ये कॉन्सेप्ट समझना काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है. ऑलराइट, सो दिस इज द बॉइलिंग पॉइंट ऑफ वाटर. This is the boiling point of that solution. All right, we have various lines like this. Okay, until the saturation point. This is say 0. Okay, so अब जैसे मैं effect 1 से effect 2 जा रहा हूँ, स्क्रीन फ्रीज तो नहीं हुई ना किसी की? अगर हुई हो तो अनम्यूट करके बताना. आई डोंट थिंक सो, बट स्टिल. सो या, सो बॉइलिंग पॉइंट ऑफ वाटर इन द इफेक्ट 2 विल बी लोअर, राइट. तो समवन कैन गिव मी एन आर्ग्यूमेंट कि सर बॉइलिंग पॉइंट ऑफ वाटर तो कम हो रहा है जैसे जैसे आप इफेक्ट्स में आगे जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि प्रेशर कम होते जा रहा है, राइट. तो अगर ये 72 डिग्री सेल्सियस पे बॉईल कर रहा था पानी इधर, तो इस इफेक्ट में मे बी 65 भी बॉयल हो जाएगा, तो एनर्जी रिक्वायरमेंट वैसे ही कम होनी है। बट मेरे लाल यहाँ पे देखो, ये 72 वाली केस इधर है, 72, दिस इज सेट योर दैट लाइन, एंड फ्रॉम हियर यू आर गेटिंग इट टू बी 75, this was 72. All right, in the next effect the boiling point of water came down to say 65 degrees Celsius, but now the final concentration has went up to this point over here nicely, and now you see the elevated boiling point is way higher than 75, though you have reduced the pressure, and it is now say 80 degrees Celsius, something like that, just putting out the numbers. All right, so as you are moving ahead with the effects, जैसे जैसे तुम effects बढ़ा रहे हो, ये तो अंदर आ रहा है जिसके वजह से ये वैल्यू नीचे होनी चाहिए, बट this concentration dependence is also increasing. So when the concentration dependence, ये वाला term, is more dominating than the pressure thing, all right, तब it is always beneficial to use the feedback reward mechanism. Is it clear? Is it clear? Yes or no? अगर कोई भी डाउट है प्लीज़ अनम्यूट एंड से, और अगर इफ़ यू वांट मी टू रिपीट इट प्लीज़ बताओ. Yes, anyone say Devang? Devang, yeah, just
सर थोड़ी स्क्रीन अटक रही थी, तो कैन यू रिपीट प्लीज?
okay, let me say it back again. Okay, देखो इधर हम पुराने केसेस की बात, पहले वाले एग्जांपल की बात करते हैं. इसमें बॉइलिंग पॉइंट ऑफ वाटर था 72 डिग्री सेल्सियस एंड इलेवेट होके वो गया था 75 तक. ऑल राइट, राइट, एंड इधर से प्रोडक्ट निकल रहा था. ओके, लेट मी डू इट ऑन दिस थिंग. ऑल राइट, इधर, सो इधर से ये 5 डिग्री सेल्सियस पे गया था. बॉइलिंग पॉइंट ऑफ वाटर वॉज 72 डिग्री सेल्सियस इन दिस केस, एंड दिस वॉज से 40% कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड. यहाँ से मैं उसको 60% तक कॉन्सेंट्रेट करना चाह रहा हूँ. ऑल राइट, तो इधर प्रेशर 2 में बॉइलिंग पॉइंट ऑफ वाटर डेफिनेटली 72 से कम होगा. लेट्स से वो सम वैल्यू है 65 डिग्री सेल्सियस के अराउंड, एंड कॉन्सेंट्रेशन बढ़ गया है, 60% हुआ है. सो आई नीड टू गो बैक हियर एंड फाइंड आउट द टेम्परेचर रिक्वायर्ड, एक्चुअल टेम्परेचर रिक्वायर्ड. सो मैं 65 के एंड 60% कॉन्सेंट्रेशन के लिए आई फाइंड आउट द न्यू बॉइलिंग पॉइंट विच इज 80 डिग्री सेल्सियस. इंस्टेड ऑफ 75 इट हैज गॉन अप टू 80. ऑल राइट, यहाँ तक क्लियर है? यहाँ तक क्लियर हो रहा है? एनीवन?
यस सर.
ओके, अब देखो हो क्या रहा है. हमें तो एक्चुअल बॉइलिंग पॉइंट यूज़ करना है, एंड पहले वाले एग्जांपल में हमने ये बोला 72-75 आसपास है, तो हमने उसको एक नेग्लेक्ट कर लिया था. लेकिन यहाँ पे देखो 65 पे वाटर बॉईल हो रहा है, लेकिन 60% कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड प्रोडक्ट निकल रहा है. तो बॉइलिंग पॉइंट एक्यूरेट बॉइलिंग पॉइंट जो है, या एक्चुअल बॉइलिंग पॉइंट जो है वो 80 डिग्री हो चुका है, विच इज़ वे हाइयर देन इधर का बॉइलिंग पॉइंट. इवन दो कि तुमने यहाँ से और यहाँ पे प्रेशर कम कर लिया, P1 33 किलो पास्कल था, ये 15 किलो पास्कल ही है, बट स्टिल द बॉइलिंग पॉइंट हैज गॉन अप बिकॉज कॉन्सेंट्रेशन हैज इंक्रीज्ड by so much. Can you appreciate this fact? Yes, anyone? Okay, तो ऐसे केसेस में सिंस अब तुम्हें ज़्यादा टेम्परेचर, अब देखो तुम्हारा डेल्टा टी बढ़ गया तो तुम्हें ज़्यादा स्टीम देनी होगी, ज़्यादा ये लगेगी एनर्जी, राइट? तो ऐसे केसेस में व्हाट आई कैन मीन इज कि आगे के कॉन्सेंट्रेशंस में, लेट्स से इफ आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द कॉन्सेंट्रेशन स्केल, आई नीड टू गो फ्रॉम C1 to C3 final, and there is an intermediate point C2. All right, what I can clearly say, or what you can also clearly understand, कि इधर से इधर जाना is more rigorous, requires more energy than this point. Obviously यहाँ पे स्टीम ने जितनी एनर्जी दी है उसका एक पार्ट स्टीम ने जितनी भी एनर्जी दी है उसका एक पार्ट इधर जा रहा है और एक पार्ट इधर जा रहा है, right? And then this part is getting used to heat this further, correct? So what I prefer in such cases is I use a feed backward mechanism. मैं ये वाला जो आखिरी का पार्ट है मैं वो फर्स्ट इफेक्ट में करूँगा जहाँ पे फ्रेश स्टीम इज यूज्ड, एंड जो इधर का पार्ट है जिसमें रिलेटिवली कम एनर्जी लग रही है, ये वाला पार्ट, क्योंकि लेट्स से वहाँ पे कॉन्सेंट्रेशन भी कम है, बॉइलिंग पॉइंट भी कम है. So now let us restart the example. Okay, लेट अस रीस्टार्ट एग्जांपल. तो यहाँ पे सेकेंड इफेक्ट में नाउ फीड बैकवर्ड मैकेनिज्म में सेकेंड इफेक्ट को फ्रेश फीड दी है. ऑल राइट, प्रेशर सेम है. तो इधर बॉइलिंग पॉइंट ऑफ वाटर was again 65 degree Celsius and the product here is 10% concentrated. तो से 10% की ये वाली लाइन है, ये 10% की लाइन है, राइट. सो इधर बॉइलिंग पॉइंट 11 और कहाँ तक होगा, 40% तक होना है, राइट. तो वो इधर तक ही होना है. तो 65 का कितना हो रहा है, 67, राइट. सो इधर 67 तक ही बॉयल हो रहा है एक्चुअल टेम्परेचर, राइट. अब मुझे इसको 60 डिग्री तक हीट करना है. इधर I need to heat it to I need to further concentrate it to 60%. Alright, तो मैं इधर जा रहा हूँ 72, 80 की जगह 84 लग जाएगा, कोई बात नहीं. But now I have fresh steam and I can provide that excess energy and go up to higher things. So this is a particular idea. Okay, another reason is the reason now clear कि हम फीड बैकवर्ड कैसे यूज कर लेते हैं. एक और रीजन जो है इसका, एक तो ये हो गया टेम्परेचर रीजन. ओके, फर्स्ट इज द टेम्परेचर रीजन. सेकेंड, नाउ एज दी प्रोडक्ट्स आर गेटिंग कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड, ओके, एज प्रोडक्ट्स गेट concentrated, their viscosity is increasing. Viscosity increase होना मतलब H कम होना, right. So now I can manage this again by keeping them in the first effect जहाँ पे मैं fresh steam डाल रहा हूँ, and I can now put some more amount of steam and I can get it to the point that I want, right. मैं एनर्जी तो सेव कर ही रहा हूँ, मल्टीपल इफेक्ट से स्टीम इकोनॉमी तो बढ़ा ही रहा हूँ, बट मैं I could not have reached up to 60% because the viscosity has increased. Only 55%, but मुझे 60% तक का प्रोडक्ट चाहिए. बट ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम, मैं थोड़ा सा और स्टीम बढ़ा के काम कर लूँगा, राइट. सो विस्कस फ्लूइड्स के लिए हायर टेम्परेचर्स कैन बी यूज्ड, आई मीन फ्रॉम द स्टीम साइड, that will actually help us a lot. Okay, but the only disadvantage with this feed backward is the product quality. Why? तो उसका भी मैं रीज़न देता हूँ. देखो, फिर से just get I mean just start recollecting the thoughts from initially. First case, feed forward mechanism. Okay, first case, feed forward mechanism. प्रोडक्ट फाइनली किस टेम्परेचर पे निकल रहा था, 80 डिग्री सेल्सियस पे, क्योंकि बढ़ चढ़ के 80 तक टेम्परेचर पहुंच गया था. तो ये प्रोडक्ट 80 डिग्री सेल्सियस पे निकल रहा था. ऑल राइट, इधर आ जाओ, कम बैक ओवर हियर. इस केस में 84 पे निकल रहा था. नाउ योर प्रोडक्ट इज गेटिंग आउट एट अ हायर टेम्परेचर, ऑल राइट, बट इट वॉज नेसेसरी फॉर गेटिंग द डिजायर्ड कॉन्सेंट्रेशन. बट जितना उसका टेम्परेचर ज़्यादा होगा, देर इज मोर चांस ऑफ डिग्रेडेशन, राइट. you have some orange juice or fruit juice, some sort of hydrocarbon in it, which can get decomposed at higher temperatures. So or then you may expect some sort of loss in the quality, right. So from the product quality point of view, feed backward is what I can say disadvantages. So we try to have feed forward as much as possible, क्योंकि उसमें प्रोडक्ट का डिग्रेडेशन का चांसेस कम रहता है. बट जहाँ जहाँ पे प्रोडक्ट विस्कस होते जा रहा है एंड स्ट्रॉन्गर टेम्परेचर एंड कॉन्सेंट्रेशन रिलेशंस आ रहे हैं, राइट, देयर वी हैव टू गो फॉर फीड बैकवर्ड मैकेनिज्म. आर ऑल द रीजंस, इट्स एडवांटेजेस एंड डिसएडवांटेजेस क्लियर टू यू गाइस? क्या इधर तक सब कुछ क्लियर है? यस, एनीवन? अगर कोई डाउट हो तो प्लीज अनम्यूट एंड आस्क. ओके, let me ask Praneeth this time. Praneeth? Praneeth, कैन यू प्लीज अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ? कोई डाउट है तुम्हें? देवा?
No, sir.
ओके. एंड ऋतुजा?
No, sir.
ओके. सारे पॉइंट्स क्लियर है, कोई डाउट नहीं है, कुछ कंफ्यूजन नहीं है, राइट?
Sir, second point, as the viscosity increases, H decreases, na sir.
यस.
As H decreases, heat transfer decreases.
Yes, meaning that I need to provide more steam or
Ah,
more
yes, sir.
area. I need to provide
Yeah.
more steam or more area, right?
Yeah, sir.
So instead of going for higher area, which increases capital cost, we'll try to try to provide more steam. I mean the steam at higher temperature, something like that. All right. I hope these points are clear. And now we'll move to the next part of the discussion. All right. What is exactly the disadvantage that is taking place by adding the effects? Okay, this is the topic of our discussion. So I will try to name it as advantages and disadvantages of multi-effect evaporators. Alright, so I'm now talking about all the multi-effect evaporators in general, not just feedback or feed forward. The advantages and disadvantages that I discussed previously were between feed forward and feed backward respectively. Alright, now we are generalizing it and talking about what happens when I go from single effect to multiple effect. So any one of you can ask a question like okay, आपको 60% तक फाइनल प्रोडक्ट लेना है तो आप दो इवापोरेटर क्यों यूज़ कर रहे हो? आप सिंगल इवापोरेटर में ही काम कर लो, 5 से 60% उसी में कर लो, राइट? आप दो इवापोरेटर में क्यों जा रहे हो, राइट? एंड उसमें क्या प्रॉब्लम? सो टू आंसर सच क्वेश्चंस वी आर नाउ गोइंग टू डू some sort of analysis. Okay, so at the first sight what you all also said ki steam economy is increasing, so it seems that multiple effect evaporator is having a very good advantage and the heat is now getting used over and over, right? And we are trying to reduce the energy cost, but let's have some closer examination and try to understand what is the price that has to be paid for the heat economy. Okay, so in the first effect, the heat that was getting exchanged is say Q1 will be equal to U1, the overall heat transfer coefficient in the first effect, times the heat exchange area in the first effect, times the delta T1 in the first effect. Okay, in the second effect, it will be U2, A2, del T2. And now I am comparing it versus a single effect evaporator which is also doing the same heat exchange duty. So Q single, okay, QS is for Q single, which will be the US AS del TS. Alright, and essentially QS has to be equal to Q1 plus Q2 क्योंकि सेम प्रोडक्ट को सेम कॉन्सेंट्रेशन से मतलब वहाँ 5% to 60% करना होगा तो आइडियली तुम्हें उतनी हीट निकालनी है, तो QS हैज़ टू बी इक्वल टू Q1 plus Q2. Is everything clear up to this point? All right, good. Now let's talk more about what will be delta T1 and what will be delta T2. Okay, so delta T1, okay, will be the temperature difference between the steam and the boiling point of solution in the first effect, correct? Or the boiling point of water in the first effect, right? Now in the second effect I am going to use the steam that is coming out from the first effect, which will be at the temperature TB1. right? So let us go back and see. Okay, so ये देखो, यहाँ की स्टीम यहाँ जा रही है, इसको इसका बॉइलिंग पॉइंट, इसका टेम्परेचर और इसका टेम्परेचर सेम है, विच इज TB1, राइट? सो द स्टीम एट इन द सेकेंड इफेक्ट इज एट TB1 टेम्परेचर, करेक्ट? एंड इट इज एग्जिटिंग, क्योंकि यहाँ पे प्रेशर चेंज हो रहा है प्रोडक्ट का, ओके, प्रोडक्ट का प्रेशर चेंज हो रहा है, इसका प्रेशर चेंज हो रहा है, तो बॉइलिंग पॉइंट चेंज हुआ है, इट इज नाउ एग्जिटिंग एट सम अदर टेम्परेचर, राइट? वहाँ पे मैंने कुछ दूसरे केस पुट फॉरवर्ड करने के लिए वो टेम्परेचर ज़्यादा बढ़ते हुए दिखाया था, फिर ठीक है, तो डोंट ऑलवेज गो फॉर दैट, आई जस्ट वांटेड टू मेक अ केस ओवर दैट, सो इट शुड बी TB1 माइनस TB2, हमेशा TB2 TB1 से कम ही रहेगा, तभी हीट एक्सचेंज होगी, राइट? मैं वो फीड बैकवर्ड एक्सप्लेन करने के लिए मैंने उस टाइप के नंबर्स उधर लगाए थे टू मेक द पॉइंट, ऑलराइट? सो गाइस, is this clear? The values for TB1 and TB2, I mean delta T1, delta T2. A quick raise of hands. Okay, great. Now देखो, first effect and second effect में, if I try now, I have to build two evaporators. Okay, so the most economic design would be to have both of these units 1 and 2 of the same size, almost of the nearby same size, I mean, right? क्योंकि अगर एक बहुत बड़ा बिल्ड कर दिया, जितना बड़ा इक्विपमेंट उसका थिकनेस उतना बढ़ जाएगा, अमाउंट ऑफ मटेरियल बढ़ जाएगा. वी हैव ऑल सीन दिस इन डिजाइनिंग ऑफ अ हीट एक्सचेंजर. एज द साइज ऑफ द एक्सचेंजर इंक्रीजेस, उसकी कैपेसिटी बढ़ जाती है, लाइक वॉल्यूम कैपेसिटीज. नाउ द थिकनेस हैज टू इंक्रीज, मे बी 5 mm की जगह आप सब कुछ 6 mm 10 mm का करना पड़ रहा है, मीनिंग दैट जैसे तुम्हारा थिकनेस डबल हो गया, कॉस्ट भी डबल हो गई, एंड देन बिल्डिंग अ बिगर इक्विपमेंट इज मोर कॉस्टली, एंड लीनियर नहीं है, वो बहुत अलग टाइप का स्ट्रॉन्ग फंक्शन चलता है, इट्स नॉट अ लीनियर फंक्शन, राइट? सो 1 and 2 would be, the cost of building two equipments would be optimal if I am trying to build the equipments of almost similar areas, heat transfer areas, or volumes or capacities. Do you guys appreciate this particular fact that A1 and A2 have to be almost same? I mean, if they are not same, A1 is say, then the cost of this will be way too higher than this. And what I will be getting is a very costly thing, and I wouldn't want it. So do you guys appreciate that A1 and A2 have to be almost same? Yes? If someone has any issue with it, please let me know. I mean, okay, great. So you are appreciating the fact that A1 and A2 have to be roughly equal to same. Now we can also say that heat exchanged can be similar in them, okay, and I can also now say areas are same. So, and for the sake of simplicity and calculations, क्योंकि हमें compare करना है single effect versus multiple effect, all right, so I can say that वो viscosity वाला फंडा कुछ ज़्यादा हो नहीं रहा है फ्लूइड का, जिससे H चेंज होगा. So areas are same, the fluid is also similar fluid is going from here to there, उसका viscosity वगैरह इतना कुछ चेंज नहीं हो रहा है, and I am trying to use the same what I can say evaporators, so U1 and U2 will also be approximately same. Can you guys appreciate this fact? Just think, U किस के ऊपर डिपेंड करता था? U डिपेंड करता है fluids के material properties and thermal properties, like viscosity, Cp, K, mu, basically Prandtl number or Reynolds number, right? And I am so उसमें density आ गया तुम्हारा, viscosity आ गया, Cp, mu, K, rho, यही basic चीज़ें आ रही है, and I am saying that it is not changing much. Basically mu and rho are not changing with the concentration that much. So इज इट ओके दैट आई कैन सी U1 एंड U2 आर ऑलमोस्ट सेम, क्योंकि फ्लूइड्स वही रह रहे हैं एंड इवापोरेटर्स आर बिल्ट, आई मीन उसका सेकेंड एस्पेक्ट आता है यू में ज्योमेट्री, नंबर ऑफ ट्यूब्स, कैसे वो ट्यूब्स अरेंज्ड है, उसके डायमीटर और वो सब, आई एम सेइंग दैट वो सब भी सेम है, आइडेंटिकल इवापोरेटर से हमने लिए है. सो कैन यू अप्रिशिएट दैट U1 एंड U2 विल बी सेम, यस और नो? देवा, ऋतुजा?
यस सर.
ओके ग्रेट. अब देखो U1 भी सेम है, यूज भी सेम है, ए भी सेम है. ओके, सो वी कैन से दैट maybe Q will also be roughly equal to E be equal, and the total Q that has been removed, वो Q भी almost Q1 और Q2 एक दूसरे के बराबर ही होगा. ओके, and now this is all that we have, this is all up to here is what we decided on the grounds of optimized things. Okay, now I am considering, okay, अब इसके आगे जो मैं कर रहा हूँ वो that is something which I have considered. Okay, so I am now considering a case where Q1 is equal to Q2. Okay, essentially I just wanted कि a case where delta T1 has to be equal to delta T2. I just want to have a case, something like that. Okay, I just want to have a case like that, and with this particular case what I want to prove is that if at all there is a case like Q1 equal to Q2 or roughly Q1 is almost equivalent to Q2, या वो values आसपास भी रहे, तो since Q has been equal to UA delta T, okay, Q1 by Q2 ये दोनों ऑलमोस्ट सेम रहने वाले हैं, तो दिस हैज़ टू बी डेल्टा T1 बाई डेल्टा T2. ओके, अगर हम मान लेते कि विस्कोसिटी के इफेक्ट्स आ रहे हैं तो U1 और U2 भी बच जाएंगे. सो एसेंशियली यू विल बी गेटिंग अ एक्सप्रेशन U1 डेल्टा T1 इज इक्वल टू U2 डेल्टा T2. ओके, यू विल बी गेटिंग दिस, बट हमने ऑलरेडी मान लिया है कि there are no such effects coming in, so ये घट रहा है, so we'll be just left with delta T1 equal to delta T2. This is just after considering this. Okay, this is what I have assumed because I want to compare कि क्या हो रहा है, एंड कंपैरिजन के लिए Q1 equal to Q2 लेना थोड़ा सा आसान है. ऑलराइट, तो अब देखो हो क्या रहा है इस पर्टिकुलर केस में. ओके, so when I say Q1 is approximately equal to Q2, okay, so Q1 plus Q2 will be now U's are same, right? Delta T's are also same, right? So what I can say is area is getting added, U times, I can basically take the addition of anyone, so I prefer taking the addition of areas, right? And this is now say some delta T, overall delta T by 2. Okay, and Q1 plus Q2 has to be QS, right? And from here I can say that delta Ts has to be equal to delta T1 plus delta T2, has to be equal to, and this particular value over here has to be delta Ts by 2. Is this clear? I mean, is this particular thing okay? यहाँ तक किसी को डाउट है? ऋतुजा, देवांग, साई किरण, या कोई डाउट इधर जो हमने अभी तक किया है? आई जस्ट वॉन्ट टू यू ऑल वी ऑल टू बी ऑन द सेम पेज. ओके, साई किरण सेज नो डाउट. देवांग, ऋतुजा, आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू मेक अ केस विथ Q1 एंड Q2 सेम. मतलब फर्स्ट हीट एक्सचेंजर में अगर 1000 किलो जूल्स पर आवर हीट एक्सचेंज हो रही है तो सेकेंड में भी 1000 किलो जूल पर आवर हो रही है. जस्ट बिकॉज आई वॉन्ट टू कंपेयर एंड आई वॉन्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड कि एग्जैक्टली कौन से कॉस्ट बढ़ रहे हैं. एक कंपेरेटिव एनालिसिस करना चाह रहा हूँ. इन जनरल इट कैन बी वेरीड. ओके, ऑलराइट. सो what I can understand is that एक्चुअली हमने QS का फॉर्मूला कुछ ऐसा लिखा था, U AS, ओके, एंड इधर US. सिंस हीट एक्सचेंजर सेम है, UL के वैल्यूज भी सेम रखे थे, ऑल राइट, सो आई कैन ईजीली से दैट U1 इज इक्वल टू U2 इज इक्वल टू US, क्योंकि फ्लूइड्स में कुछ ज़्यादा चेंज हो नहीं रहा था, प्रॉपर्टीज़ वही है, इक्विपमेंट का बिल्डअप भी वैसा ही है, ऑल राइट. Sorry, I can't see that. I'm very sorry, I can't see that. Sorry. Yeah. What I can say from here is this. For the same capacity of, in सबसे what I can clearly indicate is that the capacity of exchanger does not change. Yeah, this is what I can conclude from this. Alright, and by meaning the capacity is amount of vapor evaporated per unit time. This is what we say by capacity. It is not changing, and rather I have to now build a evaporator with a bigger this thing, area thing, all right. So in fact, when going from one effect to two effect, the only thing that I am trying to increase is the area. I'm trying to increase is having two evaporators, so the cost goes 2 times. Equipment cost is going 2 times, and for n effects it will go n times, and this is the major disadvantage of having multiple effects, and the only advantage is n effects will roughly make the steam requirements by n. So it will reduce the steam requirements by n times, but it will increase the equipment cost by n times, right? So the optimum effects should be made by considering the costs of operation, steam, and the capital cost of equipment. Alright, so you need to consider all these costs, and based on the costs, all these costs you need to optimize. So maybe you can see a design like this. So basically, if I try to put effects over here, alright, and if I try to have total cost over here, okay, with the red line, as the effects is increasing, the cost of building the equipment is increasing because more and more equipments are required, but at the same time, so this is equipment cost, alright, and I am trying to decrease the steam cost, alright, and now the total cost looks something like this. This is the total cost, and this is the point, or this is the effect. Maybe this was just effect 1, this is effect 2, the data points over here are for effect 3. Alright, so I may have done something wrong now. This is effect 3. Alright, this is 3 and this is this. So basically okay, I need to do it again. I made a mistake. How can the green line possibly go below the blue and red line? It's the addition, right? This is the green line is the total cost. It is the addition of it, right? It cannot go below red and blue at any point of time. So basically, this is pertaining to point effect 2. This is pertaining to effect 1. This particular is pertaining to effect 3. At effect 2, the overall cost of running is minimum, so we'll go for 2 effects. So this answers the question of optimum designing of a evaporator, and it has to be based on the effective costs. I mean the comparison of all. So is this clear? All right.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Devang, any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, great. So with this we conclude the topic of evaporators. In the next class we'll have some previous year gate questions, and before concluding the class I would prefer writing out the summary of this particular topic, because we had discussed it in a lot many classes and we had huge discussions, and we deviated from the main discussion quite a lot times, like the energy balance thing इधर उधर हम काफ़ी बार deviate हुए. तो let me just put in a concise manner. So the first thing you need to understand is different types of evaporators. So they were basically based on the film, like vertical film, horizontal, etc. Then they were based on short tube, long tube, forced convection, so FCE, the natural, all those things. Now coming back to the main part about numericals, or how the calculations needs to be done. So first step is always heat and material balance, or rather material and heat balance, right? And then the rate of boiling is governed by, alright, where you know what delta T is. Okay, for the case, and these two are the essential steps required for calculation of a single effect. Now when I go for multiple effect, okay, when I go for multiple effect with a case of say Q1 equal to Q2, I can easily I can say that U1 A1 T del T1 has to be equal to U2 A2 del T2, and if A1 and A2 are same, and for and as A1 and A2 are same, so this is basically extension of it. We will be using this in the what I can say, gate numericals a lot, so I am just trying to put it out again. And the advantage of multiple effect evaporators is that steam economy increases. So this is a sub point of it. Okay, steam economy is increasing, okay, in the case of multiple effect evaporators. This is just extension of this thing. And for NFX we can say that the steam requirement goes by 1 by n and cost is increasing n times, roughly. All right. I hope all the points that we discussed are covered here. Let me just, yeah, we have covered. Alright, so this was a very quick summary of the entire discussion that we had on the topic of evaporators, and with this I conclude the theory part for evaporators. We'll meet tomorrow where we'll try to solve some gate problems, and I will try to emphasize on the important strategies required for a gate preparation pertaining to this particular topic. Alright, with this we conclude. Thank you.